Hello there. So, in today's video, I'm going to cover the audit execution phase. And this video is going to be one of the videos in the series of the videos that I'm doing regarding the whole audit cycle. So, in case you want to understand the whole path of the whole audit cycle, you can watch my previous two videos. So, this is the third video of the series, in which what I've done is that I have broken down the audit execution process in five key steps. And these are those five key steps, starting from the opening meeting. Start with head of department's audit, how to audit, and then how to meet the workforce, and then how to report the audit findings, leading to the closing meeting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each of these steps and will detail what are some of the key considerations when you're doing these steps. And as an auditor, what should be focused upon to maximize the yield of the whole audit process. So, of course, the first step is the opening meeting in which you set the tone. And this is important in terms of putting everyone on board that you are about to start the audit. Of course, you must have shared your audit plan before you are going for the opening meeting, but just to reconfirm their availability. And it is always good to review the audit plan so that everyone is on board and aligned how you are going to go about the whole audit in the coming days. And then this is also very important in terms of building the repo and the trust with the auditee. So, and I always say that as an auditor, you are not going as a police or an investigation officer or a detective. You are going to evaluate the conformance of the process, and in that, if there is anything which may not be conforming to the requirements of your own processes and the standard, then you are going to report and you will put that department back on track. So that is the overall theme of the whole audit process, and you need to ensure your comfortable tone and your professional tone so that the auditee may not be feel comfortable in your company and should not perceive you as somebody who's coming to find fault in their processes and systems. So this is very, very important, and an auditor should emphasize on that. The other thing is that when you start with the audit, so you start with the head of the departments. So depending upon again the audit scope, how you are looking at the audit, what's the structure of your organization. So whoever is going in whichever the organization chart that you may have. So an department head of the department can be a process owner as well, can be a function owner as well, and can be a head of the department as well. So it's always good to have an overview of that departmental working, which is working under him or her. So start with the head of the department, and then you can discuss with the key activities and the recent changes, if there are any, to take them on board, and any critical points that they may consider, any breakdowns that may have happened recently, or any incidents, or anything, probably a customer complaint even. So you discuss all these points to get the overview about that whole process, which is lying under this one person. And after getting that whole overview, then it makes all the sense to go and observe the real world. So you go out there and you meet the people on the ground. And then there are three ways to conduct that particular audit which you're doing on the floor. And so, first, of course, the interviews thing, you need to meet the workforce and you need to talk to them. You need to understand that, evaluate their understanding about the process. And the important thing that you should focus upon is that they should know the process in their own terms. So they may not know that if they are following any safety practice, or if they are following any environmental practices, they are working under clause number 8.1.1b a b c. So they may not be knowing the standard, but they should be knowing the work that they are doing, and the processes that they are following, and the practices that they are doing within the quality, environment, or health and safety domain, or any other standard for that matter. I'm just talking about the generic standards here. So that is important, that you need to evaluate their understanding, or if any laws that may apply to that, they should be aware, so that they may not violate the law on the ground. And then they are aware of the risk, the quality of the safety requirements. So you will check the awareness with the people, and you will check if they're on board, have they been trained on all those standards, and on all those concepts regarding quality, environment, or any other standard that may be applicable. Then you need to review the documents. So once we talk with the people, the next step is to review the documents. That of course the if they know the system, if they have been processing, that what are the policies and procedures that applies to them. Yeah, are they accessible to them? What are the logs and records that they are maintaining? And through that we will evaluate consistency. So I may take a record a week before, couple of weeks back, and couple of months back. Through that I will try to evaluate the consistency in the process. And that leads me to the third part of it, which is called observation. So seeing the real world, seeing is believing. So I'll go on site, I will just observe the whole process, that how it is being done. Is it complying with how they have laid down the whole process? Is it following that path? Or any environmental or safety practices or anything of that I can note down. Because of the practical observation, they may not be following some safety rules, they may not be doing the proper waste management, they may not be following the quality control tagging or anything like that. So I can note it down just by observing. So I'm not just talking, I'm not just reviewing any documents, I'm just observing how they are practicing the whole system on the ground. So that is my last observation through which I'm going to check the whole audit process. Then it leads to report audit findings. Now, remember that this reporting the audit findings is not limited to submitting a final report. It is all my communication, even during the audit, towards the end of the audit, and after the audit. So, best practice is to keep the auditee informed. And the one thing that is always asked to be avoided by the auditor is to surprise them in the closing meeting. So it's always good that you may communicate what are your potential concerns are out there, and you may call them again towards the end of the day so that you can confirm. And then when you are presenting that at the closing meeting, they already know what you have audited and what were your point of concerns. Keeps the uh, this really keeps them very well on board, and they will not be surprised, because they really do not like to be surprised by the auditor. So keep them on board throughout the whole process, very transparent, nothing to hide and nothing to surprise. That's the whole overall theme about the whole audit process. Then correctly classifying the opportunity for improvement, observations, non-conformities. So that is where your, as an auditor, your strength comes in. That which you are think you're declaring as a non-conformity, against which clauses of the standard. And probably I'll do a separate video on that, or my next video when I'll be doing regarding completing the audit and the follow up on the audits. I may be covering this in detail, how to declare the non-conformity and what type of non-conformities are out there, and the difference between the observation and the opportunity for improvement and the non-conformities. So that is how you classify, and that's where your professional knowledge about the standard, about the experience comes into play, and you write those observations and non-conformities. Then lastly, you conduct the closing meeting. Now, this is very important, that you need to let them know what has been the outcome of the whole audit process. But at the same time, you need to keep it short and to the point. So do not get into any arguments over the non-conformity. And the best way to avoid that is to discuss the non-conformity prior to doing the closing meeting, so that, as I said, everyone knows and they're very well on board, that what were the point of concerns that you have raised, and they have already agreed upon that. So keep it short and keep it to the point, and the overall outcome, and must highlight the strength. Now, this one practice has been lagged by many auditors, that they directly jump about the non-conformities and the observations and the opportunity for improvement. There are always some good in the system. So as an auditor, you should also look for the strengths that you can highlight. That makes the auditee very receptive towards the other findings, and this gives the overall positive tone to the whole audit process. And remember that auditing is about checking the conformance, not the non-conformance. And in that process of checking the conformance, if there are any non-conformities, you report on that. Then one of the documents that you must hand over in the closing meeting are the non-conformity reports, because they need to work upon that. So non-conformity, the rest of the report can be verbal. You can be verbal, or you can do a PowerPoint presentation about the observations and the other opportunity for improvement. But the non-conformity needs to be handed over to the auditee, so that the auditee can start working for the resolution of it. And then the full audit report may follow in 3 to 5 next business days, should not be extended more than 5 days, because then it will lose their value of the whole audit. So it's better that everyone should be informed about the whole audit process within the next 5 days of the audit. Now, during the whole audit process, there are certain skill sets required by the auditor, and I would discuss just a couple of them, and which are needed for this execution phase. And the most important of all is the time management. So remember that as an auditor, when you have made an audit plan and when you're going out there to audit, it's the auditee's time which is very, very important. Why? Because auditee is not employed at that organization to be audited by you. They are taking their time out and giving it to you. So as an auditor, you need to respect their time. So you plan it well, you execute it well, and then you leave on time because they have other assignments and other their schedule is booked for other bookings. So you need to understand that this phenomena that you need to stay on the plan. But in some cases, when we need to dive deep into a departmental issue or anything that we really need to investigate, then we need to inform the other department and we need to reallocate the time professionally so that everyone stays informed and nobody should be waiting for you. You're getting delayed in reaching someone else. So in a in an informed way you can do that. But time management is one of the key skill sets for any auditor. The other thing that auditors should be very well ready for is the challenging situations. And the challenging situations can include defensive behavior by the auditee. And remember that even if you're coming to audit me, I'll be defensive because I know that I have flaws in my system and I do not want anyone to find that out. So that's a very natural phenomena, and one should be ready for that as an auditor. So this is part of the game. Lack of cooperation, yes, that's another thing that you need to learn with passage of time how to overcome those areas. Missing records, there will not be records, and process deviations. So my point is that when you find these things, never get too excited about any of these issues. And you need to stay on track and calm and professional and stick to the objective evidence and learn this thing that how to manage these difficult situations so that you can manage the whole audit process. The success of an audit is to get through with the audit on that particular day and not to quit the job at any point of time. So, this is a brief about how to conduct an audit and what are some of the do's and don'ts during the audit process. In my next video, I will be covering the reporting the audit, how to report, how to write the nonconformity, what the difference between the nonconformities and the observation and the OFIs, and then I'll be covering how to make the whole audit report and how to do the follow up. So I'll be covering that area, and hopefully afterwards, I'll be covering another. I'll be doing another video of the series, which will be regarding the principles of the auditing. So that will cover major principles that an auditor should understand and practice while doing the audit on the ground. So, thank you very much for visiting and for watching the whole video. And I hope this little information may help you in doing the audit in a professional manner. And in case you are interested in any of my trainings, this is the list of the trainings. And I also have posted our 2026 training calendar on our website. So you can go and you can register online. And hopefully, I'll see you to watch my next video. Thank you.